Hey everybody, it's Coffee with Mick. Frank and honest discussion about whatever I want to talk about in the morning. Yeah, baby. Let's talk about love. In Star Trek. Yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, romance and Star Trek go together like peanut butter and eh, acid. No, not that bad. Peanut butter and just just peanut butter. It's like peanut butter is okay, but you're gonna need some other elements to make this sandwich more palatable to chew through. Just sticky nonsense. Ugh. Yeah. Yeah. I am fine with my main biggest ship of Tendi and Rutherford merely being hinted at in the finale of Lower Decks. Well, most likely the finale. It might get a continuation. Who knows? Starbase 80 spin-off. Yeah, because I am into the sixth season of Deep Space Nine, and dear God, do the romances bog this show down? Like they don't, they were so busy working on like a political sci-fi story that they forgot to work on like any acceptable like romance story at all. Except weirdly enough, Ram and Lita, that was like a simple romance that that weirdly worked more. I can't explain why. It just worked more. It's more believable than Kira and Odo. It's like, oh, well, you're my best friend and blah blah blah. Then you got like Jadzia and Worf. A lot of people weren't into that. My opinion on it is that it's not that Jadzia and Worf are a bad couple. More that the romance and the relationship just kind of overtook Jadzia's character. Like, so many of the episodes were just like Jadzia pretty much like being a support to Worf and we kind of forgot to develop her and the Dax symbiont as characters for the most part. Ugh. Like that is kind of like, one of the dangers of romance stories where it's like once characters get together, they stop being individuals and start being a united thing. Yeah. And the less said about every terrible, awkward romance Riker and Troy went through on all 7 seasons of The Next Generation that wasn't between them, the better. Like, the two were so friggin' endgame coded and should have gotten together at the end of The Next Generation, and they had all the time to develop it, but they just kept having them be like some weird friends with benefits thing and having them be in relationships with people that we know aren't gonna last long. Like season 1, that one guy with the psychic powers, we knew Deanna wasn't gonna stick with that dude. Or, any of Riker's more forgettable love interests. Dear God. Why is it that Deanna Troy's love interests were at least somewhat memorable, but it's like Riker's, they're just ladies who are into him for the most part? Minuet. That one was actually just kind of tragic. Yeah, they're either awkward and forgettable or needlessly tragic. That's a Star Trek romance right there. Either awkward and forgettable or needlessly tragic. That's the majority of Star Trek romances. And I definitely didn't want that to happen to Tendi and Rutherford on Lower Decks. Because they's cute, baby. They're my cuties. Yeah. And, like, there is, like, a stigma from, like, sci-fi and comic book writers who are just legitimately afraid to do romance stories. They feel it can kind of overtake things, and historically not inaccurate, but I feel we gotta find a middle ground, you know? Ugh. The whole point of Star Trek is exploration, not just of land, but of concepts. And love and romance are concepts. And if you kind of, like, the fact that you're failing at exploring one concept kind of shows a weakness within the franchise as a whole. So work on your romance stories, Star Trek, or I'll keep looking at you and staring at you and poking at you with the stick. Hope you enjoyed this nearly 6-minute vlog of a man talking about Star Trek ships, and I hope you have a morning.